What's up everybody, Kier Gomes here, and welcome to Way Back Wednesday, episode 7. Way Back Wednesday is a series on this channel where we review decks from 2013, 2014, 2015. By now you probably know what it is. Basically, we review decks of cards that you may have missed if you're new to the cardistry and Magic community. In today's episode, we are taking a look at the Orbit 3rd edition playing cards by Orbit Brown. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one. Before we get started, please do drop a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's roll that intro and get you guys on your way. Okay, so the Orbit 3rd edition playing cards. This episode seems appropriate because we are on the brink of a new Orbit release. The Orbit V7 was supposed to come out in May last month, but as a lot of projects do, good things take time. And I think for Orbit to really elevate whatever it is that they're doing and step it up, sometimes you just need more time. The tuck case is done in purple glossy cardstock. As opposed to the newer ones, which is the V5 and the V6 that are done on a matte paper stock, these are done on a glossy cardstock. As you can see, the tuck case is primarily made up of this deep purple color. Very similar to the other decks though, the front just says Orbit in that blocky kind of font and says playing cards. One side says 3rd edition, the other side says distributed by theorbitbrown.com. The bottom has the original Orbit logo. Back design is the back design of the cards. So this was before Orbit was doing the broken border motif. You also get a custom purple seal that just has the Orbit logo on it. Inside the tuck flap says persist and endure, just like all the Orbit decks. And on the inside you get a rocket ship and a planet. Let's look at the cards. So your back design looks like this. It is a thin white border with a purple background, and you can see it has the Orbit circle in the middle with the 2 astronauts on the inside. And as well, you can see at the top that line work is astronauts, kind of in a single line type illustration with some planets in the background and some moonbeams behind the astronauts. I actually really like this design. I think this would have looked great in other colors as well. I typically am not a huge fan of purple, but in this case, I think it really works and it looks great. You are gonna get your classic Orbit Jokers, only these ones are done in black and white, just like the 4th edition. It's an astronaut riding a bicycle. It says Joker at the top. Now this is a play on the bicycle Jokers, which is the King of Spades riding a bicycle, only this time it's an astronaut. Classic Orbit Ace of Spades as well. Now the 1st and 2nd edition just had the spade pip with a 23 inside of it. This one is actually an astronaut on the moon from the looks of it, and it is done in black and white as opposed to the recent releases which were done in color. As far as gaff cards, you're also going to get your classic Orbit gaff cards, which is a duplicate 8 of spades. Nice. And of course, a double backer. Also nice. The rest of your cards are going to be completely old school bicycle standard, I guess. So they are Arco faces, which is basically just the old USPCC design, which I actually prefer. I like the blockier pips, but I'll show you what I mean. So you can see the pips are a little bit chunkier than they would be on a standard bicycle deck. And as well, your court cards have traditional colors in them as opposed to recent releases, and as well have this older kind of vintage USPCC design. That's what the Queen of Spades looks like. Your diamonds are nice and chunky. Look how good those look. I love that. It's so vintage, it's so old school. I really like that. Here's your Jack of Clubs. That's what your heart courts look like. Hearts again are nice and chunky. Makes them really easy to read too. It's a very easy deck for Magic because you can just see, without even really having to look, you can see what the card is. These cards are, I think, a little bit thicker than the 4th, 5th, and 6th Orbit edition. They still feel like they're crushed though. They're very soft and springy. This is what the deck looks like in a fan. So let's get into how this deck handles. In terms of the handling of this deck, it feels like a regular deck of maybe premium stock, like B stock. It still feels crushed, I just can't tell. It seems a little bit thicker. So if you know, let me know down below. Cards fan, excellent. This is what they look like in a fan. You can see it's interesting to see an Orbit deck that doesn't have that ribbon going through a broken border. Like I said before, the cards spring really easily. This is definitely a deck that you could use for Magic. However, I wouldn't recommend it if you have one, only because these cards are now pretty expensive. I think this deck was one of only 5,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, way easier bottom to top, so I believe that makes this deck traditionally cut, but I'm not sure. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Way Back Wednesday, your one-stop shop for all things playing cards, Magic, and cardistry related. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do drop a like on the video as it helps me out a lot. And of course, if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. Got a lot of stuff going on, still in the process of moving. I'm starting to pack up some stuff, which is why we're in a different setting today. More on that to come, and of course, please do leave me a comment down below letting me know what deck you would like me to do for next Way Back Wednesday. All that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. I know I will. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Let's go.